One of the great features of the online dive log is the extensive database of dive sites and locations. Unlike some other applications, the online dive log tries to keep dive site data quality very high by introducing two new concepts: legacy and personal dive sites. Legacy and personal dive sites are typically generated during imports of your dive log data. During an import, the online dive log has a sophisticated matching algorithm that attempts to identify the corresponding dive site in the main database. If matched, you get the full features of the map integration inside your dive log and advanced filtering in the dive grid. However, if it fails to match the dive site, it will do one of two things, dependent on the data quality. If the general location can be identified, then it will create a personal dive site in that location the first time it sees the site, and then reuse it. Personal dive sites are exactly the same as main map dive sites apart from one thing: only you can see them. If it cannot identify the location, then it will create a legacy dive site. This exists solely in your dive log, and you lose any map integration and advanced filtering. Ideally, you would want to fix these matching issues so that all your dives are using main database dive sites. There may also be duplicate dive sites created from slight spelling differences that should be combined. You can fix these one by one in your dive log using the dive site pop-up editor, but a better way is to use the dedicated dive site management feature that is accessible from the More Options button when looking at your dive log. This window gives you greater visibility on the legacy and personal dive sites that you may have, and helps you do quick fixing across multiple dives at the same time. The first thing to focus on is the legacy dive sites. These should either be matched to a main database dive site or converted into a personal dive site. Let's look at matching first. Click on the green search icon next to any legacy site you want to search for. This will bring up the standard dive site search editor with the text box pre-filled with the site name. The list box will show any initial search results, and you may find your match but spelt slightly differently. If you want to match it, select it in the list and click on the Select Site button. This will bring up a confirmation window and tell you which dives this will affect. An option that exists for everyone in dive logs is the ability to override the name of a main database dive site. This may be because although it is the right dive site, you call it by a different name, or have a non-English name. This is usually done on the main map view in the location info window with multiple mouse clicks, but here we can see that option being presented in the confirmation window. If you override it, the name will change in your dive log and the main map view, but only you will see this change. Another option is location data. When you imported your dives, there may also have been location data for the dive site as well as a name. In this case, if the site you are matching has a location and yours is different, then you can choose to override the location on the main map. Again, only you will see this change. Once you are happy with the proposed match, click on the OK button to update the dives identified and remove the legacy dive site. Then continue to look through the legacy listing for any other dive sites that can be matched and update each one in turn. Eventually, you may come across a dive site that is new to dive logs and is not known in the main database. This one is a great example of that situation. A dive site does exist with a similar name in the right location, but your one is actually a new dive site on the other side of the island. In this case, the right thing to do is to convert it into a personal dive site so that you get the main map benefits. To do this, you have to help dive logs identify the location the dive site should belong to. This is just a case of editing the location cell and choosing the location from the drop-down shown. All 1,000 plus locations are present in this list, including any personal locations you may have created, and they are listed by general area and then name. Looking through them all can take a while, so always use the search field to narrow down the selection. If this is a truly unique new location, then you will need to create that location first. This is outside the scope of this video, but you can find how to do that in the Adding and Sharing Data tutorial. Once the location has been identified, click on the yellow Add icon, and the legacy site will be converted into a personal dive site, and the relevant dives will be updated. Now that we have dealt with all the legacy dive sites, let's take a look at the personal dive sites. There may be duplicates created during the import from spelling and naming differences, and cleaning these up is very easy. Simply find the first duplicate, the one you want to remove, and click on the yellow grouping button. Then choose the duplicate, the one you want to keep, to combine them. Select OK in the confirmation window, and the dives will be updated and the first duplicate will be removed. You can also use the same dive site searching tool to match any personal dive sites with the main map database. Unmatched personal dive sites can be quite common, especially if the import identified the correct location, but could not quite match the dive site because it was called something different. After you have done the match, the personal dive site will still exist, but all the associated dives will have been changed to the matched dive site. You can then use the red trash icon to remove this personal dive site. Finally, you should be left with only valid personal dive sites in the list. Each one of these represents a new dive site that the main map database does not know about. In this case, you can share them with other users to help them when they are building their own dive logs. Each share also gives you 3 diver points. To initiate the share, just click on the blue share icon next to each one to let us know we should convert it into a main database dive site.